All right, hello, hello, hello. This is going to be a little bit awkward. I am in my Tesla Model Y. I do have Wi-Fi. I'm actually in the Model Y because of air quality. The Model Y has a HEPA filter for whatever reason. I don't know if it's allergies or something like that. Where I am now in a place called Lopburi, Thailand. I don't know if it's in the house or if it's outside or whatever, but I've been having like I probably will be coughing and sniffling during this video. Um, but I'm in the car because the HEPA filter in the Tesla Model Y makes the air quality better. I'm actually going to sleep in the car tonight rather than in the house. So the big news, of course, is that Tesla stock hit $440 a share, and we've got our friend Tim Walz. I'm sorry, Tim Walz, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, who famously cheered the what he saw as the falling Tesla stock price when it was $225 a share and dropping. He claimed it somewhere along here in probably October of 2024. Um, you can form your own opinion about whether it's appropriate for someone who wants to be vice president of the United States to cheer the decline or the perceived decline of one of the largest manufacturers of cars in America and one of the most important companies in America, one of the largest market cap companies in America, a company that's stock is widely held by pension funds in your state and investors in your state. But sure, go ahead and cheer for the negative results of an American company. That's pretty odd. Before I dive into everything, Arthur asks an interesting question. Any thoughts on the crazy sinkhole in Bangkok? That was actually 4 kilometers from where I used to live in Bangkok. A big hole opened up in a road in front of a hospital, Vajira Hospital or Wajira Hospital. Um, it there's some construction issue or some pipe issue. Infrastructure is not always great in Thailand, but Bangkok's a city of 18 million people and stuff happens. And sinkholes happen in Florida too. Do I think the viral hype around stocks these days could drive Tesla above $600 a share in the short term? If does, would you recommend reducing options? Well, I don't make short-term stock price predictions. The title of this video is just the Tesla stock going to go to $500 a share. I, I, I'm really big on saying, hey, we don't know what's going to happen short term. I have reasons to think that the stock is performing well right now, but it may be the things that I think are driving the stock up are priced in now at $440 a share, and the stock's not going to go up more. I don't really know. I have a theory that something's going to happen for Q3 that is not anticipated. I'm going to talk about that during this video. So let's get into it a little bit more. Um, Number one, uh, this analyst is talking about Tesla reaching $3 trillion market cap. Well, Tesla's about a 1.3, $1.4 trillion market cap right now. So we're at $440 a share. That's like $1,000 a share or more. So that's pretty positive to see analysts talking like this. Now, this analyst, I don't know if it's this guy Ehrlichman, somebody was predicting, leave Tesla aside for a second, with 150% revenue growth in the next 5 years, which I think is low. I think Elon has said 5x is possible, so that's 400%. But this guy had NVIDIA at 99% growth in 5 years. NVIDIA is trading at a 50 PE multiple. If you look at all the chip, the plans for AI data centers, um, I would expect NVIDIA to 5x, um, 3x or 5x the revenue in the next 5 years. Um, I'm pretty bullish on NVIDIA. I'm not invested in NVIDIA. I'm invested in Tesla for reasons, you guys all pretty much know well if you watch me. Um, oh, Tesla Power, thank you for joining. If you're Tesla Power, I would love to know when Tesla will make power walls in China. But that's I think Tesla should make lithium iron phosphate power walls in China and export them. Tesla power walls in Thailand are very expensive compared to the competition because they're coming from the US and because of tariffs. If Tesla made power walls with LFP in China, the price would be much lower and they wouldn't face the tariffs here. Maybe it's just the market for Powerwall isn't as big as I think it is. But anyway, that's one analyst, and Bradford Ferguson agrees with the Rebellionaire. Revenue doubles well before the 5-year clock is over. Wall Street consistently underestimates revenue growth for exponential growers. Nvidia is an exponential grower. Tesla's an exponential grower. And along those lines, Elon, White Pearl Robotaxi said, I estimate a 5x in revenue for Tesla 5 years from now. That's way more than the 150% growth. Elon says with extremely good execution, this is possible. I think Elon's sandbagging here, but we'll see. Hello, Mark. Um, and then Dan Ives, who I prefer to call Damn Knives. Damn Knives has raised his Tesla price target to $600 from $500. Believes Tesla could hit a $3 trillion market cap by late 2026. And I just want to be clear, a $3 trillion market cap would be more than double the stock price. So we're at 440 now. A $3 trillion market cap would be close to $1,000 a share, maybe over $1,000 a share. So why would you be pricing that have your price target at $600 if you think it's going to $1,000 in late 2026? That's a year from now. So analysts are starting to say very positive things about Tesla stock. I think they tend to trail what's actually happening with the stock. They come up with these numbers after the stock goes up instead of predicting the stock rise before it goes up. Rob says, good morning, Warren. I have my Tesla solar panels and Powerwall installation this week. Can't wait to be driving on sunshine. Oh, the install is happening. Very cool. My friend Amy, who just appeared in the chat, Amy has Tesla solar panels and Powerwall install, and I charged my Tesla on her solar and Powerwalls, and she charges her Tesla on her solar and Powerwalls. So, all right. So just going further on this, just a little bit more about Tesla news. There was this patent. I think this is overblown, the patent filing. People are talking about this patent filing as if it was the unbox process. If you read the patent filing, it is not the unbox process. What we think of as the unbox process. It's bolting on parts after the unbox process. But and Elon responding to it said, what matters is that the cycle time of the overall production process, not just the unbox process, can get to 10 seconds, and there's a path to cars coming off the line every 5 seconds. I posted about Tesla taking this new path based on physics first principles long ago. Anyone is welcome to copy it. Our patents are open source. Now, I don't think the open box process patent is public yet. If there is one, this is not the open box process. This is slapping on parts after. Tesla Power said we all signed an NDA not to disclose anything. Of course. I don't blame you for that. That Tesla crash didn't last too long. Was there a crash? I don't know. Oh yeah, just you mentioning this, there was a story that I'm occasionally go on Facebook, and there was a story about a German car crash where a Tesla crashed, and all the stories were like the car was locked and people couldn't get out and they burned to death. And then you keep looking and you keep looking and you find out that a child got out of the car. Like there was an adult and two children in the car who died, and then there was a child who got out. And then I think there was an adult who got out. So like, wait a minute, if the door was locked and rescuers couldn't open the door, then how did the other people get out of the car? So there's just so much FUD and so much spam and so many lies about Tesla every day. Just because you mentioned Tesla crash, I don't think that's what you meant. On Optimus, Beth, who's like an accelerationist, was calling for Tesla and Figure and 1X to outcompete Unitree ASAP. This is a national security issue. Unitree apparently, China has a robotics company that's making these robots, and it's like transmitting data back to China from what it sees. Elon says Tesla's working hard on scaling Optimus. Not sure what that means. Figure, and I never even heard of 1X. Figure is like they're raising a lot of money. Like the CEO of Figure, I call him Brett Fraudcock. He's Brett Adcock. He's really good at raising money and getting companies to IPO. He's not very good at executing on delivering products and services to customers after IPO. So I don't know why people keep bringing up Figure. Isn't it true between 800 and 1000 T always splits? I don't worry about splits. People ask me about splits, not recently, but I do see a lot of questions about splits. I believe there's a technical reason why companies want their share price in a certain range. I think it helps with options for employees. Sorry, I've got sniffles from whatever's going on in the environment here in Thailand. So anyway, Tesla's working hard on scaling Optimus. What does that mean? I mean, they're not producing it in volume now. As far as I know, they haven't finalized V3 of Optimus. Maybe they have finalized V3, but they're not producing it yet, as far as we know. What does scaling mean? Does scaling mean 50,000 a year? Does it mean 500,000 a year? Does it mean 10 million a year? We don't know. FSD stuff. Sawyer reported on someone driving in Australia. Once you've driven FSD for any length of time, it's hard to imagine life without it. Tesla FSD is like going gangbusters, and you'll see more in a minute. Elon says this is still just version 13. This was probably the biggest update on FSD. Um, Jason Calacanis, who's blocked me on X, but I get blocked by a lot of people. Um, my last three Tesla FSD utilized were absolutely perfect. He's on hardware 4 plus version for 13. Feels like they're very close. Um, Elon says version 14 goes into early wide release next week. This was a couple days ago. Then 14 went about 2 weeks later, and finally 14.2. The car will feel almost like it is sentient being by 14.2. Elon has made these claims before, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. What does it mean for it to feel sentient? I don't know. Um, but, you know, is version 14 going to be that one that really takes him to the next level? He did have a post previously where he said it's going to take like a few months of training version 14 to handle more of the edge cases to get where they need to go. So, have you seen A16Z's post from 20 hours ago? The robotic space will get a lot of attention soon, it seems. The robotic space is getting a lot of attention. I didn't see that post. There's lots of talk about robots, but until people are delivering robots at scale to customers, making profits, I don't think markets are going to see the distinction. I don't think the economy is going to see a distinction. I don't think it's going to matter to everyday life. And I have my own theory that the biggest use case for Optimus in the next couple of years, I think Tesla's going to build massive solar farms. Elon replied to me about that when I said it, basically saying basically affirming my statement that Tesla's going to go massive on solar. So I think the only way you go massive on solar is you buy a lot of land and you do ground solar, because it's hard to do roof solar at scale, but it's easy to do ground solar at scale. And Optimus would be really good at deploying ground solar at scale because it's the same operation over and over again. There's a lot less complexity. You're not going up on a roof. So I think we're going to see Optimus. That's going to be the first use case for Optimus at scale because it radically lowers the cost of deploying ground solar. Is it safe to say current robotaxis are on V14? I think they are not. I think current robotaxis are on a version of V13, but I don't know. I think they have to train V14 for a while to be good enough that having the model is one thing. You got to train the model, and you have to have enough data to train the model, and they just don't have. If they were only running robotaxis on V14, they wouldn't be getting enough data to train. You need millions of cars to train. So I think it's on a version of V13. I don't know. I don't think anybody's said. Um, Sawasti Cup, Karsten. That's a tie for hello, basically. So, anyway, I think this is a positive sign, but if you've been following the FSD game long enough, you know Elon says, oh, the next version is going to be amazing, and then it's good. But, when is an unsupervised robotaxi? That's the bigger leap. My gut is that end of this year, early Q1 next year, we start to see unsupervised robotaxis start to increase in serious volume. We're seeing more states saying, more state applications for state regulatory approval. I think we're around 7 or 8 states last time I saw that are in process, including New York, Florida. I think 4 cities in Florida, California. Obviously, we're already operating in Texas. Just Florida, California, and Texas is 30% of the U.S. population. New York is another big chunk. Nevada, Arizona, I forget a couple more, maybe Illinois. Any comment on Optimus capabilities currently? Haven't they been learning for months now? What real skills do they have now? I don't think that Optimus is practically useful yet in any scale. I think it's going to be a while. I think it's going to be a while before it's practically useful for more than a few tasks. And by the way, the real goal is not, my opinion, the real goal is not let's train Optimus to do task X. The real goal is get Optimus to understand the real world so you can give it a task that it has never done before, never been trained for, and it gives it a shot, which is what we do. You can tell us to do something we haven't been trained, we'll try it. That's general intelligence. That's real world artificial general intelligence. At Tesla Power, who's a Tesla employee, says he's been holding employee compensation shares since 2016. Two splits since then. I've been holding Tesla since 2016 and buying more since 2016. 14 forces. We can hope some of us have V14 installed before end of October. So I don't have FSD. I'm in Thailand. There is no FSD in Thailand. We have autopilot, which is not that useful. Um, I'm not that optimistic about FSD being in Thailand anytime soon. We don't have Starlink yet, so um, but I think that's less important whether you have V14 installed. What's important is V14 scaling, and is it working well, right? And the general sense is larger model, more data, more compute, more training compute. Those are the things that are really going to get it done. Hello, Chad. Okay, so just a little bit more on the FSD. Japan. This is NHK. It says Japan News Network. It's NHK, which is the biggest Japanese news channel. They did a 3.5 kilometer drive. I don't know why they only did 3.5 kilometers, although that was a complex 3.5 kilometers from West Shinjuku over to NHK headquarters, wherever the hell that is. Um, they probably went through the Shibuya scramble crossing, although I'm not sure about that. But they said they didn't touch the wheel. Now, 3.5 kilometers, not very impressive to those who follow FSD. And don't forget they're driving on the other side of the road compared to the US. Same as Australia, same as Thailand. Um, but you can see the steering wheel's on the right hand side. I'm sitting in my car. The steering wheel's right here. I'm on the right hand side of the car. So that's right hand drive. So operating FSD there, good. And another piece of Tesla news. It appears Model Y performance is coming to North America. Is that a big deal? I don't know. Some people want Model YL, which is in China. Um, it doesn't hurt. I'm not sure that Model YL sells in more volume than Model Y Performance, and I have my own theory that we're going to see a Model Y XL, and we're going to see a Model Y S. Model Y S would be in Europe and Asia, not in the US, but we'll see. Tesla knows what they're doing better than I do. Um, Rob says, if your hypothesis about Tesla solar farms is true, do you think Tesla would be 100% vertically integrated on solar cells and panels? Not sure what's involved in getting a solar cell startup going. I think with the tariff situation, Tesla makes their own panels already in Buffalo. They don't think they make their own cells. Could they make their own cells? Sure. Um, I'd like to see that. I don't know if they have the manufacturing experience to make solar cells. It's probably not that hard. So I would love to see that, and we'll probably see that in the next year or two. Starlink in Israel for the first time. Tesla $2,900 in 2030, 31. Sure. Why not? Um, I think that's bearish, but okay. All right. So, just moving on. On the fun side of things, this is Brian Johnson. He is famous for his Don't Die campaign, and he does all kinds of crazy stuff. He tries out everything to biohack himself to try to live forever. So William, I have a, I don't know, sinus issue from the climate or the, I don't know, pollen or something here in Thailand has gotten me. I have here. I've got a napkin if that'll make you feel better. How many people blow their nose on live streams? Very sorry. It's killing me. All right. Um, okay. So anyway, Brian Johnson did a video about McDonald's. He bought a bunch of McDonald's products, and then he talked in the video about how these products are all bad for you. I had a McDonald's bacon quarter pounder the other day. So I very rarely eat. I don't think I've eaten McDonald's in like several months, but it was that moment. I craved it. It wasn't bad. Quarter pounder with bacon and cheese, and I think it was a large fry and a Coke. And I normally don't drink any of that stuff or eat any of that stuff, but I'll have fries occasionally, but pretty rarely. So anyway, but the thing that stood out to me on the video was he's driving a Mazda. Like, you're the don't die guy. The number one place for most people, the most likely place you are to die is in your car. Why wouldn't you drive the safest car on the planet, which is Tesla? Why would you be driving a Mazda? Crazy. I'm not sick. I'm going to sleep in the car. I'm literally sleeping in the Tesla tonight because of the HEPA air filter makes the air cleaner in the car than the air outside the car or the air in the house where we are. So, um, Mazda is a good car, but Teslas are the safest car. If you're the don't die guy, your goal is to not die, why wouldn't you be in the safest car possible? You'd be in a Model X or a Model S or a Model Y. You wouldn't be in a Mazda if your goal is to not die. And that one's gone kind of viral. A lot of people are tagging him and replying and so on. On the sort of political side, we're going to get back to Tesla and Q3 in a minute. There's this guy Alpha Kevin, who's some sort of small time or medium moderate sized YouTuber in Germany, and he wrote it was a 2 post thread, and my quote here is from the second post, but he says, why does a person need, this is about Elon, why does a person need almost $500 billion to live while half of humanity suffers from poverty? Okay, so first of all, I want to address this because I see this stuff a lot. This is classic Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, AOC. Democrats hate that successful people get, end up benefiting from their success. So first of all, need. What do you mean need $500 billion to live? Does anybody need $1 million to live? Do you need $10,000 to live? What does need have to do with it? Need, saying you only get what you need is Marxist, to each according to his need. So is this guy a Marxist? Is he going to admit that he's a Marxist? Why is need relevant to the question? The question is he producing value, and is he earning according to his value? If he's earning according to the value that he produces, then where's the problem here? And the second thing, I think this is really important, is stopping capitalism does not help the world's poor. It hurts the world's poor. Okay? The world's poor are using cell phones. They're on X. They're doing all kinds of things. They've advanced ahead of the technology of 20 years ago in America. Why? Because capitalism made that possible. If you don't have capitalism, all this technological change, like, why do progressives hate progress? They're regressive. They're not progressive. And Elon, look, Elon's got all this money. What does he do with his money? He starts up a company to cure brain diseases. He starts up a company to solve traffic. He builds the electric vehicles. He creates global internet access with Starlink. Like, this guy's doing good things with the money. What government does these things? Who else? The money doesn't exist if Elon does. If entrepreneurs don't create these businesses, it's not like the money would be somewhere else. The money doesn't exist. They create wealth, and they get a piece of it. So Elon is getting 10-20% of the wealth that he creates at Tesla, and the rest of us get it. The rest of us get a positive. I don't know how the stock will do, but what I can tell you guys is that we at Tesla are full speed ahead. Exciting time for us. Thank you, Tesla Power, for joining. I really appreciate that. There's a Tesla Power in the chat who's giving us a lot of positive news. Glad to hear it. I think things are great at Tesla. Really excited about it. I'm always really excited about Tesla. I made this comment that Bruce Burnworth and I. Bruce is another Tesla hyperbull. Bruce was saying that Tesla's going to have Optimus at some scale, millions of Optimus. And I don't think we're going to get there that fast. I think we're going to see 50,000 Optimus maybe by the end of 2026. And I think they're going to work within Tesla. Maybe with partners. Like, we have Tesla Semi. Tesla uses the Semi, but they also have Frito-Lay and Pepsi using Semi. They have a couple other partners. I don't think you're going to see Optimus sold at scale to a lot of customers in 2026. Maybe it starts in 2027. Bruce thinks that 50,000 very capable Optimists will excite the world. And it's like, I don't know that they're going to be, if they're not generating revenue and profit in the financials, then I don't know that the investor world sees it the same way that, like, Bruce and I see it. Bruce and I agree where it's going. A lot of you, I think, agree where it's going, but that doesn't mean the Wall Street investors and the Main Street investors see it the way we see it. Tesla Power. Look, so there's somebody in the chat named Tesla Power who says he works at Tesla. I can't verify that he works at Tesla, and he probably can't verify that he works at Tesla. I'm happy someone's here. I'm happy to say he's saying nice things. We can't know. My gut is, why would you fake that? So he's probably real. Mark says, Tesla took me from poor to having money, then onto a Teslanaire. Yeah, I love it. Does anyone know if FSD honks at a car about to crash? To avoid a crash when you can. I don't think it does. I don't think Tesla FSD honks. So Graham Brown came up with this, and I wanted to talk about his catalysts, and we're going to get to Barry Glack soon. Barry Glack is the next slide. Gary Black, for those of you who don't know my joke that I call him Barry Glack. Graham Brown says so many catalysts before end of year. So Catalyst, sorry, Catalyst is a Barry Black thing, a Gary Black thing. It's a very common Wall Streeter thing to say. These are the things that Tesla needs to do in order to boost the stock. So I don't agree with this catalyst theory, and I think people are missing some big catalysts. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But robo-taxi driver monitors removed and rapid expansion to more cities. I'm not convinced that all of this is happening by the end of the year. Look, it's almost October. We got 3 months left. I think we're going to see some expansion to other cities and other states by the end of the year. I'm not optimistic about the safety monitor or safety driver being removed by the end of the year. I think we have to get V14 going. We have to get V14 trained adequately. And then we have to see where we are. I think it's much more reasonable to say we're going to see a large volume of Tesla robotaxis operating by, say, the middle of next year. By the end of Q2 next year, do we get 10? Because you can see if you get to 10,000 robotaxis operating with no safety monitor, with no safety driver, they'll still have some teleoperators watching. At that point, the value becomes a lot more apparent. And I think that takes us into Q3 and Q4, where it starts showing up in the financials in a small way. But then you can start to see where the growth is. That's the big deal. We're going to talk about Barry Black in a second. Show an impressive Optimus V3 at the annual shareholder meeting. That's not a catalyst. An Optimus at the shareholder meeting is not a catalyst. Very few investors outside of nerds like us are going to care about an Optimus. Budget model announcement. I think that would happen. A lot of us believe that Tesla is going to announce new models in a few days, maybe early October, mid October. I really think Tesla is going to offer a Model Y S, a smaller Model Y. These are guesses. It's not like I'm not an expert or anything. I think a Model Y S, you just did a Model Y L, a Model Y S in Asia and in Europe would sell in high volume. Model Y L is selling in some volume, but it's like 20% of Model Y. Model Y S would sell maybe in comparable volume to Model Y. So I think there's a lot. I'm talking about here in Thailand. Like I just see it. Like that would be huge. It would be huge in Thailand. It would be huge in Asia. It would be huge in Europe. I don't think it would be big in the United States because not many people buy cars significantly smaller than Model 3 and Y in the United States. People don't talk about Optimus as the stealth FSD for other auto companies. Yes, Model Y XL is my favorite Mark plot. Energy implementation bump surprise. I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to talk about energy in a minute. FSD percent take up increase surprise. I don't think that's something that's going to move investors. I don't think investors see it. I don't know if it even shows up in the financials. For best results, domestic Optimus will have an algorithm limiter to better align with customer preferences. That's too complicated. Tesla Play XAI is once some kind of AGI is achieved at XAI. Why do people assume that Tesla won't have AGI before the LLM companies have AGI? Oh, next big future. Hey, Brian, thanks for showing up in the chat. Increasing YL production from 1,000 a week to 3,000 per week for Q4 seems likely. I don't know about that. I don't know how much Tesla Model Y L is selling. I do think it's going to be popular in Asia, but the market for those is limited because people in Asia just don't have as much money as they have in America. So sorry about this. Thailand. Okay. So I want to get to Barry Black. And this is where I'm going to hit Tesla Energy in a minute. He talks about Tesla Investor Relations compiled third-quarter consensus deliveries for next week is 443,000. Our third quarter estimate remains 470,000 for looking material beat when Tesla reports 3Q deliveries and production on October 2nd. The fiscal year consensus is 1.6 million. So minus 10% year on year. I think what everyone is missing, and we got Kalshi also projecting over 500,000 now. Kalshi is a prediction market. I think Brian in the chat, next big future in the chat, is familiar with prediction markets. I don't think he plays on Kalshi, but the people who are betting Tesla's going to have more than 500,000 deliveries for the quarter. I think the big surprise in Q3 is going to be Megapack, is going to be energy storage deployed. What they report on October 2nd will be vehicles produced, vehicles delivered, and energy storage deployed. And in the Megapack Megablock recent announcement, They mentioned that they had 30 gigawatt hours that was already out in the field that hadn't been accounted for as deployed yet. So Tesla has been doing 10 gigawatt hours a quarter. I believe that Shanghai and Lathrop are both fully ramped now, so they're producing 20 gigawatt hours a quarter of megapacks. And then you add in some lag. So I think there's a chance we see 15 to 20 gigawatt hours in Q3 of megapack or energy storage deployed, and that's a boost. That I think no one is talking about that, but that's a significant boost if you see a large jump in megapack deliveries. And if you think about it, all right, we're heading towards 20 gigawatt hours a quarter, and then Houston's going to come online, and then they're going to go to 50 gigawatt hours each. You're really heading towards 35 gigawatt hours a quarter in a year or so. So going to that path and thinking about what that does in terms of revenue and profit is pretty huge. And I think the AI data centers will have really strong demand for megapacks in the United States in particular, where you're probably not going to see the Chinese competitors coming in. So I think there's a lot of potential for the price to hold up on megapack going forward. Um, Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive already outsells Mazda. FSD going from 12% take rate to 42% on U.S. cars in Q4. That's unreasonable. Brian, I think that's crazy. I don't see take rate going that high. Gesundheit, yes. Porsche and Bentley give up on EVs, of course. Another key thing for Q3 is a lot of people are saying there's no inventory of Model Y. No more Model Ys in Florida. Checked up and down the coast. Mike P said no, my inventory within 200 miles of me. We went gangbusters this quarter. So Model Y is selling a very high volume. That's not everything. I mean, is Model 3 selling in very high volume? I did have a good moment on the road trip. I'm on a road trip right now, and we stopped at a supercharger that's a brand new supercharger in a place called Pechaburi, and I had to wait. There's four superchargers, and they were all occupied, and there was somebody else waiting. When one of them came free, whoever was in the other car wasn't in the car, so I took the spot. Another car came in and was waiting, so there were, four cars charging, two cars waiting for a while. By the time I left, there was nobody waiting, but there was still four cars. Um, 2 to 2x bigger effective FSD take rate. No, FSD take rate is nowhere gonna. There's no way it's gonna hit 42% on U.S. cars. I think that's unreasonably optimistic. I think the big thing is going to be Megapack. Megapack is going to be a big driver. And then just another quick note for fun. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's an SEC filing, and you can see me right here. I made an SEC filing. Elon quote posted Jason DeBolt, Elon reposted Jason DeBolt, who had quote posted me, where we're both encouraging people to vote for Elon's comp package. And by the way, if you are a Tesla shareholder, please check with your brokerage. If you haven't voted already, please vote. As the joke is, if you're a Democrat, vote early and vote often. That's how we're trained. Please vote for Elon's comp package. Please vote for the board recommendations in general. I think I covered it in my last video how I encourage people to vote. There are 35 Model Y within 200 miles of Atlanta at this moment. 35. But that, I don't know how. I think people look at that and it comes and it goes. Like, okay, and we're heading towards the end of the quarter where the tax credit goes away. So the issue is, even if we have great deliveries in Q3, how much are we pulling forward from Q4, and what does Tesla do to make up for that loss in Q4? That's why I think we need to see Model Y S. No, that's a pulling forward in the United States, not in China, not in Europe, not in the rest of the world. So I think we need to see something from Tesla that's going to spike demand in Q4. And I don't think Model Y performance is going to drive that much demand. But we're going to need to see something else. I'm hoping like Model Y S in Asia and Europe, Model Y XL in the US is what I would love to see. A larger Model Y than the Model YL that debuted in China. Those are things I'd like to see. Theory that ASP will go down 3 or 4K. And FSD will go down 3 to 4K and become required. Well, if FSD becomes required, then it just gets baked into the price. How does U.S. become the global leader in AI with Trump and Secretary of Energy crapping on solar and battery storage? I agree with you 100% on that, Rob. I would love to see. I think the answer is that Elon is planning to work around it. I don't know how he's going to work around it, but he's going to work around it. Um, the board did not take a position on partnership with XAI. I talked about this in a video. I am not a fan of Tesla investing in XAI. I don't think XAI needs Tesla's money. There are people who disagree with me and think that XAI is having difficulty raising money, although that's Tesla Q talking. Um, I don't think XAI needs Tesla money. I don't think Elon has trouble getting people to invest in his ventures. And I think Tesla should invest in Tesla's business. Tesla has a lot of businesses that need investment. And if Tesla has cash, they're going to invest cash. I want them to see invest in Tesla's business. I also have the theory that Tesla will buy a utility company. They will buy. Um, the big holdup to deploying solar is going to be utility companies restrict solar farms. They get in the way. They use their power to influence legislatures to interfere with deployment of solar farms. But if Tesla bought a utility company, then you might see a surge. They would use that to be able to really build out solar farms at scale. Um, Not Your Mom says no Tesla growth in the Philippines. I don't think there's a lot of growth. Tesla did just open a new sales center in Bangkok. There's no sales center where I live in southern Thailand. There's one in Chiang Mai now, so they're growing a little bit in Thailand. Philippines is a poor country. It's hard to sell a lot of Teslas in the Philippines. Other than Manila, I don't know where you're going to sell cars because the rest of the Philippines is pretty poor. You'll sell a few in Cebu and Davao maybe, but and that's the same thing here in Thailand. There's a ton of them selling in Bangkok. It's not a lot of money outside Bangkok. A few pockets of places with money. Um, Tesla Power says, as an employee, we're no longer thinking about just cars. Yeah, the future of Tesla is not selling cars. The future of Tesla is selling rides and robo taxis and selling robots or robot services. And I think AI inference cloud services as well. With the Model Y E, the more economical Model Y should be released soon. There's a lot of theories about the new Model Y or the smaller Model Y or the cheaper Model Y. We'll see. I don't buy the metal roof theory. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I don't think the glass roof adds that much cost. Um, I think there's a lot of advantages to the glass roof. I'm not sure the metal roof really makes a lot of sense. Mark Plot says Tesla builds solar panel factory 2026. Tesla already has a solar panel factory in Buffalo. Well, the question is whether Tesla builds a solar cell factory. The solar panel is made up of cells. The current Tesla solar panel factory takes cells from China and assembles them into panels. Will Tesla make their own solar cell factory? That would be kind of cool. David Wilson says investing in XAI is investing in Tesla's businesses. No, it isn't. No. Investing in Tesla's businesses is investing in cybercab factories, uh, Optimus factories, Tesla's AI chips, Tesla's AI data centers, um, Tesla semi manufacturing, Tesla battery manufacturing. Tesla has a lot of businesses that need capital to grow. XAI is not a Tesla business. Tesla does not own XAI. XAI makes a grok that goes in the car and is an ancillary feature of Tesla products. It is not going to be the brain of the car. It is not going to be the brain of the robot. The the LLMs do not. This is a critical point here because I've had this conversation with people before. LLMs take seconds or minutes to make decisions. Tesla FSD makes decisions in milliseconds. None of the LLMs are quick like real world AI needs to be. Optimus, will they incorporate Grok? Sure. But they do that anyway. They don't need to invest in XAI in order to incorporate that. Virtual power plant is a power service. It's not, yes, but it's not a utility. The key is to buy a utility company that currently exists and currently impedes the rollout of solar, and buy a utility company that I think it was AEP or something like that, and maybe they buy like 4 or 5 states, something like Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, or I forget what the 4 states were, like maybe Indiana, and there's one other state. You pick up those states, Mississippi maybe, and now you can deploy massive solar farms without the utility company getting in the way because you own it. Um, Tesla will time mass rollout of robotaxi with Cybercab, not Model Y. I don't know about that. Model Y is still very profitable as a robotaxi. Cybercab's good, but Model Y is still very profitable as a robotaxi. I don't think you need Cybercab to make profits in robotaxi. I think the early when the Robotaxi network goes live in volume, and don't forget, Cybercab is going to be, I think at scale, it's going to be using the AI5 hardware, which isn't ready yet. So I think Model Y will be the predominant Robotaxi vehicle in the initial days for the first 10,000, 50,000 vehicles. It's Cybercab really scales late 2026, early 2027. Um, what if it was a stock swap with XAI? Well, how does that help anybody? That doesn't give XAI cash. What is XAI doing with a stock swap? Why does that matter? Why does that make things better? There's very popular the idea that Tesla should invest in XAI, and I just don't see it. I understand why people want Tesla to invest in XAI, because you want a piece of the growth in Tesla XAI in XAI. I want the growth in Tesla. I want Tesla to grow faster. I'm an investor in Tesla. I I would look at the opportunity to invest in XAI through a venture capital opportunity if that opportunity arose, but I'm not that excited about those investments. You can buy Ron Barron's fund if you want to invest in Elon startups. You can buy, I think, Kathy Wood's firm, ARK Invest, may have a fund that invests in some of the startups, including Elon startups. Tesla should do R&D into photovoltaic glass and photovoltaic paint. It doesn't. The gain from photovoltaic glass and paint is not sufficient to justify the cost, especially when you include the cost of developing it. Tesla needs to buy ABC, cancel the view, and then set the Tesla narrative. Nobody watches these channels. Be interesting to see a Model Y without a steering wheel. That's probably coming. If Cybercab mass production in Q1 or whenever, it is multi-billion-dollar signal, no driver robotaxi with 2 months of that production. I don't think Cybercab goes mass production in Q1. I think Cybercab goes mass production Q3 or Q4. The robotaxi network, we have, Tesla can manufacture probably 3 million Model Ys and 3s a year. If they're ready to ramp robotaxi and they're ready to, run 100,000 robotaxis, how long does it take them to make that many Model 3s and Ys? Not very long. Okay, so given my sinus issues and the chaos of my road trip travel, I really appreciate the engaging chat, but I think it's a good time for me to wrap this up. Anyway, I am very positive. Let me just go back to the beginning. I'm very positive about what we're seeing with Tesla stock. We're up to $440 a share. There's a lot of potential if I'm correct. And Megapack, we see energy storage deployed gets a significant bump, and we see vehicle deliveries get a bump. I think the mega pack bump is something the market doesn't see. That's not priced into this, right? So if we see a big mega pack bump and we see energy storage deployed go to 20 gigawatt hours, I'm not saying it will happen, but if storage deployed went to 20 gigawatt hours in Q3, I think that would move the stock. Not financial advice. I'm terrible at making short-term stock price predictions. I think that's the big thing we're looking at for Q3. Buy Aptera's assets, no thank you. Massive inventory of Model Y in Q4 can be deployed as robotaxis across cities. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that can work. Big award for working. I'm not sick. I just have sniffles. I'm fine. My eyes are itchy. My nose is whatever, but it's a temporary exposure to, I don't know, pollen or polluted air or whatever. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you, Mark and Mark, for moderating the chat. No live stream tomorrow. I'm going to be on the road tomorrow, so there's no live stream tomorrow. Thanks everybody so much. Bye-bye.